But now we'll go over to Abuja, where we also continue focusing on the elections. Mark.
Well, thank you very much. In the Abuja studios, we have with us Senator Magnus Abe, who is a former member of the House of, of the Senate, and he's also contesting in the Rivers Southeast senatorial elections. Thank you for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you, Mark.
For the upteenth time, it was saying that elections have been postponed. You know, the elections for the senatorial district elections have been postponed again. How do you feel about that?
Like every other Rivers man and woman, we feel terrible. For some time now, Rivers State has not been represented in the National Assembly, and the people of Mount Senatorial District in particular have been totally excluded from the federal government because of the inability of Nigeria to conduct elections in Rivers State. A lot of people are talking about INEC. I don't think that it is proper for us to blame INEC for not conducting these elections at this time. The truth of it is that by the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, elections are mandatory. It is legally binding on this country to hold elections at certain intervals. The laws of Nigeria should not depend on the goodwill of any individual or organization. It must depend on the force of a Nigerian state to be able to execute its laws within its own boundaries. So I think that the proper responsibility for making a place safe and secure for elections is that of the security agencies. So INEC as a body cannot be blamed for refusing to put its personnel and indeed even the voting public in harm's way. With what happened yesterday when we were all called to a meeting by the Inspector General of Police and the Director of State Services, I am confident that the security agencies have taken responsibility for making the place conducive for elections. And I think if that is done, it will then be, if INEC fails to hold the elections when the place has been made secure, then we can blame INEC.
So you were a part of that meeting yesterday?
Yes, I was.
But for some reason you're not in the picture that has made the rounds this morning.
Yes, I opted out of the picture because I opted out of the picture voluntarily.
Of course you know the why is going to come to that. I mean, so why did you opt out of that picture?
Well, I will tell you that privately. But basically, I just felt that we had a larger delegation and the governor was alone, so I felt we should reduce the number of those in the picture so that the impact is not unduly diffused.
That's members of your party?
Yes, I was there with the state party chairman,
okay,
and the DG Nimasa and the minister.
Because I'm looking at, we saw these pictures a little more clearly, and for those who were analyzing the picture, they were wondering if this actually meant anything. I mean, they're looking at, it would look like this was a little strained. It wasn't looking jovial. I'm wondering what the atmosphere was like at the peace talks yesterday.
You can imagine what the atmosphere was like. But the important thing is that we all sincerely spoke our minds. Mm-hmm. And the security chiefs also spoke their minds. And we reached basic agreements on the way forward, including holding a subsequent, a larger consultative meeting. But we agreed that we'll all work together. We agreed that we will de-escalate tension to enable the state to move forward. We agreed that the security agencies will be supported by all of us to come in and mop up arms from whoever has them. And we agreed that anybody who goes against what has been agreed in this meeting will be dealt with by the state. Mm. So I think that the conversation is now on the right track for us to be able to overcome the security challenges in Rivers State and conduct elections in a peaceful and acceptable atmosphere.
In concrete terms, will that also mean that we will see fewer allegations, you know, against one party against the other? Because some people have, listening to the INEC resident electoral commissioner this morning, he talked about hate speeches, he talked about allegations, he talked about violence. In concrete terms, are we going to see this reduce? It's
reduced. Are you not seeing me talking differently now? I mean, everybody has a responsibility as leaders. That issue was extensively discussed at the meeting. And as leaders, we all know that what we say and how our followers interpret the things we say may be totally different from what we intended. And sometimes the consequences may not be exactly what we thought we meant when we said what we were saying. So I think that part of the understanding is that we'll de-escalate tension in our comments and all that. And I believe that every responsible leader needs to understand that obligation on our part.
Did we need this meeting to push that home?
Well, you have to understand that under normal circumstances, it is not possible for us all to meet. We haven't met. We haven't had the minister and the governor in the same room, or myself, all of us in the same room in ages. So some measure of, would I say, opportunity needed to be provided. And I think that the security chiefs, in their wisdom, provided that atmosphere for us to have that conversation. I think that when we're talking to INEC, we should be more concerned about the things that are INEC's own responsibility. For example, I am more concerned, you know, when you talk about INEC, with the reasons why, in my opinion, PDP is getting favors from INEC that nobody can account for. We're talking about a rerun. We're going into a rerun within a rerun. When we did the March 19th elections, for example, I knew that I had 0 votes. And I also knew that my opponent had 0 votes. Now we're going into this rerun. INEC had promised us that there'll be an opportunity where we'll all sit down and whatever was sealed will be unsealed in our presence, our agents will be there and all that. That was not done. All of a sudden, figures are appearing from everywhere. I know that APC won in Opobo local government area. I know we won in Oyibo. I know we won in Tai. Now INEC says they have cancelled Tai. How many votes do I have now? How many does my opponent have? You can't move from an unknown to another unknown. So all these issues are the responsibility of INEC. Those are the things we should hold INEC responsible for. Security is not the responsibility of INEC. You can't, I mean, how much are they paid for you to send your staff into a situation where every sign shows that their lives may not be safe if they go there? If you're invited to a wedding in Maiduguri, for example, when the tension was very high, you look for an excuse not to go because you don't feel you'll be safe. So when we talk about INEC staff, we should also imagine that these people also have children and husbands and fathers at home. And even beyond that, what of the security of the voters themselves? You know?
Senator, I'm going to ask you to hold your thoughts for us. We're going to continue along this line of thought when we return. We'll take a break now and we'll be back shortly. Do join us again.